Follow the money.
That's what I always say. You always follow the money.
Yeah.
This is Follow the Money with Mitch Moss and Paulie Howard on VSiN.
Welcome in. Good to have you on board. We're live downtown Las Vegas, Circa Resort and Casino in 30 minutes. The owner of this great property and CEO, Derek Stevens, in studio. We're going to go over Circa Survivor with him. He has read and basically seen all of the messages from the people, the 45 entries who failed to submit their Week 1 Survivor picks. He's read the excuses, he has read the reasons, and I think he's going to share some of those coming up in about 30 minutes. I can't wait.
What was your favorite one out of what Circa tweeted out? Was it had a baby, or congrats, but sorry? Or in labor, sorry, congrats? Was that one good one with their responses? That was a great
That
list.
was probably, well, that was the only one where they editorialized the response, where they said, congrats, we don't care.
That's it, right, yeah. Yes. Sorry, that's how it is, right? That's fantastic.
Yep.
I can't wait to talk to him.
All right, so this is where, like, the eyeball test absolutely matches up with the numbers and how quarterbacks played in Week 1. When you look at adjusted EPA per play for the numbers in Week 1, I'll go in reverse order here. We'll go bottom 7. Kirk Cousins was 7th worst on Sunday. Feels about right. Feels like he was near the bottom of the list. Will Levis was number 6. Bo Nix was the 5th worst, followed by Bryce Young, number 4. Caleb Williams, number 3. Danny Dimes was the 2nd worst quarterback in football, adjusted EPA per play, and the worst quarterback overall Week 1, when you go by that metric, Deshaun Watson. So, as bad as it looked with Daniel Jones and with Caleb Williams and Bryce Young and that pick 6 from Will Levis, the numbers tell you from that one metric, Deshaun Watson was actually worse than those guys.
As we said yesterday,
amazing.
It was one of the worst. It was one of the worst games in over 30 years with a quarterback that had that many passing attempts, and his, the chart of his throws in the first half was vomit-inducing. And this is just, they're panicking right now. And our guy Tony Rizzo, ESPN Cleveland, is on the show tomorrow. And he just said, it's a mess. What's going on? Whose offense is it? Dorsey, Stefanski, what happened? You can't rip Stefanski. He's a 2-time coach of the year. How did this go sideways so fast? Joe Flacco off the couch last year in 5 games. 4 of them he had 300 yards passing. What is going on? Rizzo says it's all upstairs and between the ears. I can't wait to talk to him. But the other thing is just how bad this could get and how they're stuck. Do you make a quarterback change? When do you do it? Lombardi on the morning show had a great breakdown of that they have to pay still like $70 million, but he still owed $170 million. Untradeable, uncuttable. How bad this is. What were they thinking? The guaranteed money. And then the off-the-field issues. And now there's more with that about what he's accused of. And there's more about where the fans lied to. A guy who's been on the show a couple of times, Akron Jackson, who covers the team. People who went to camp on a daily basis said it was ugly, and he struggled day after day after day and was never comfortable, and it was a train wreck what was going on. This is 92.3 The Fan in Cleveland, the Ken and Carmen show with Anthony Lima about what has gone on since camp.
I did not understand where the optimism was coming from, because it wasn't based on anything that had actually gone down in training camp or the preseason. The scrimmages, the whatever, all of that stuff, the joint practice. Like, there was no evidence based on anybody I talked to that was there on a daily basis, or some of the people that just came in here and there. Everybody I asked said, well, if they do anything against the Cowboys in the opener, that will be totally different from anything we had seen to this point. From the people that were being honest. I'm not talking about Ken Dorsey, who came on the Thursday press conference and said, you're going to be wowed by this offense. It wasn't from Quincy Avery, who said it was the best Watson had ever thrown the football. It wasn't from Stefanski or Barry. They were all towing company line on that stuff and unbridled optimism. But the people that were actually there and watched it said, if it happens in a Cowboy game, they've kept it a secret, because that's not what actually went down.
Okay. So that's where fans, by the way, are pissed off.
Yeah.
Because
everyone inside the organization or close to the organization said, he looks good.
Yeah, right.
Oh, watch out for this offense. He's picking up. He looks good. No.
So their response on Sunday during the game and after the game is, hold on, you were feeding us that big of a line of BS the entire time, and we bought in hook, line, and sinker again, and you don't want Flacco here? Great. Comeback player of the year, fine. Watson's going to be good enough without the guy. You don't want the competition. And they watched it unfold, and they're like, this is worse than I've ever seen the guy play.
Yeah. The reporters and the people who were objective and were there on a daily basis said unmitigated disaster. The other thing was, do you want to get him work in the preseason? And he's not comfortable with the offense, and he's still not picking it up, and he's unsure of himself. And it's still the shoulder. What's going on? And the bizarre comments after the game in the press conference, like, what is going on here? This is ridiculous.
How long is he going to have a shoulder injury?
That too.
The rest of his life?
I battled through it. I got through it. What does that mean?
Yeah. What are you talking about?
Are you hurt? What? None of this makes sense.
So this is to me the litmus test is this. We were screaming on the air last year. Why was it working so well overall, but especially with the guy who we're like big fans of, David Njoku, the tight end? 4 catches, 44 yards, ho-hum kind of game in week 1. The final 4 games down the stretch last year for David Njoku, 6 catches, 91 yards, 2 touchdowns. 10 catches on 14 targets for a $104 and a touchdown. 8 catches and a touchdown. And the final game, 6 catches for 134 yards. They unlocked him. That is something that Watson has never been able to do. You have this guy out there who looks like a top 5 to 6 tight end in the entire league. Yes,
Cooper,
exactly.
200 yards against the Texans. I mean, what he was doing every week. I know, It's
non-existent with him.
4 300-yard games. And then the 2 of 11 on passes over 10 yards. And didn't complete a pass over 15 yards. Everything was garbage time. Throw it out. The stats are phony.
It has to happen. They have to make a move. It's not going to be this week.
Well, Sunday's important with this. So Rizzo and other guys are saying, well, why is it going to be any different? Now they're going to go to Jacksonville, and it's Jacksonville taking money, obviously.
Right.
What's going to be different about it? That this guy is so unsure of himself, and it's just a train wreck.
Here's the thing I'd like to point out again. Miami had 400 yards of offense, 2 through for 338.
Uh-huh.
I don't care about the weapons. Hill's awesome. He's as good as it gets.
Right.
He had more than 100 yards. Waddle did as well. That's a great 1-2 combo. Browns also have good weapons. And it worked with Joe Flacco in nearly every single game. Mm-hmm. And when you, again, eyeball test it here.
Sure it did. Took him to the playoffs. No doubt it did.
Like, Watson looks completely scared to death out there.
Yes.
And all dink and dunk, zero confidence whatsoever.
Yep.
Flacco looked like the clink-clang king of the rim-ram room running around last year.
Yeah.
Okay, I'm going deep again.
Yep.
Pick me off, fine. I'm going to go deep one more time. He made it work until they lost in the playoffs.
I'm glad you mentioned that because, again, I had the Rams that game in Survivor. I go, Joe Flacco off the street, of course. They're coming out shotgun, throwing it all over the yard. They just signed the guy.
Oh, he's taking
what he was doing.
It was an aerial assault with Joe Flacco.
Yeah, Rams won the game, but he played well. I couldn't believe how well he played and what the offense looked like. And I'm like, what am I watching here?
Right.
They're going shotgun every play and slinging it. And he was incredible. And wins comeback player of the year.
So, again, the money, the Browns don't want Deshaun Watson on the team. They want any excuse possible to cut the guy. And they're hoping that thing that came out, that next lawsuit that dropped yesterday, they hope it's true. Yeah,
and Florio did a good job, Pro Football Talk, about the wording and the language in the contract about, he's accused now of this sexual assault.
Okay.
And
So I guess this is where they got it right or wrong, depends on which aisle you're going to fall in with this argument. If they kept Joe Flacco in the offseason, how is he not starting in week 2? How? Based on what he did last year. You'd have to pull the trigger on Watson immediately after that disaster against the Cowboys.
Yep.
And I got news for you. Jameis Winston, probably not far behind Joe Flacco. Take your chances with that guy. I know this about Winston. He can be a little, loose cannon type out there on the field, but he's going to take shots again. You can't look like a Mickey Mouse offense in the National Football League and think it's going to work, because it won't.
Yeah. You can't give him that absurd contract and everything's dink and dunk. Nope. It's wild. I can't wait to talk to Tony Rizzo tomorrow. He's losing his mind. I don't blame him.
Everybody in the whole city has to be losing their mind.
And lied to, as you said, right? What do you expect out of Willis? This was good, too, this morning. Michael Lombardi. VSiN Morning Line, the morning show, 7 to 10 a.m. Eastern with Grace and Harrison. The Packers must make a move.
Green Bay's going to have to sign Ryan Tannehill. There's no chance they're going to win any games with Malik Willis at quarterback. There's just no chance. It just ain't going to happen. And the book is going to put a tax on Willis. The Packers are going to get a bunch of points. And if the Packers don't play better defense than they did last week, which it doesn't look like they did, the Packers are going to be picking in the top 10. It ain't going to be where they're going to make the playoffs. They're going to be picking in the top 10. So I agree with you, Harrison. Detroit at number 1 seed looks very good. Detroit winning the North looks outstanding.
Yeah, I agree with that. $1.30 now. So this is also huge Sunday. He's right. The defense, that was also the Eagles, but the defense had their issues, and now if you can't stop the Colts, and Willis, a guy 2 years ago started 3 games, and he couldn't throw for 100 yards. So
I don't see how the Packers are going to slow down the Colts offense.
Yeah, okay.
The Packers defensive unit is not good.
It's panic time, baby. Because it also, and Paul Charch, will be on with us Thursday to go about this too. Does this then try to move up the timeline on Love? You fall to 0-2. And what's coming up, because that schedule's backloaded. Now it's like, get well soon. We hope that you get well. And then we got to get you in there. Or then it is Tannehill. I'm waiting for the great situation. Here, Tannehill, I'm with Lombardi. Get him in there. Because you have no threat of you have these weapons, but he can't throw the ball.
Yeah. I hope NFL Network puts some old games on from Malik Willis so you can go back and watch him this week. See how long you can last.
He threw for 50 yards in an entire game he played.
You won't be able to last as long as Rick Pitino. Updated division numbers in the NFL, odds movement in awards markets, and Week 2 line moves next here on VSiN.
Time. There's nothing more valuable. It's what drives everyone to make the most of every moment. We celebrate living large in the now. In a city where time disappears, we create experiences that electrify the soul and memories that will last forever. We go big, we go all night, and here, everyone is invited. So get loose and get loud.
This is Circa. You'll have the time of your life.
VSiN is thrilled to introduce a new VSiN.com tailor-made to the evolved needs of today's sports bettors. Our upgraded navigation streamlines your journey, allowing you to swiftly access articles, videos, and podcasts. Whether you're tuning in live or catching up on your favorite shows, everything is just a click away. VSiN.com guarantees a fluid and responsive experience across all devices, ensuring you stay connected wherever you are. We have enhanced tools such as our betting splits and expert picks, and introduce innovative features like parlay and odds calculators, all designed to make you a sharper bettor. Our How to Bet section is perfect for beginners, covering the fundamentals, while seasoned bettors can delve into our advanced betting strategies for the competitive edge you've been looking for. Sign up for free on VSiN.com or become a VSiN Pro subscriber, where you can unlock unlimited access to every tool, expert picks, and insight that make VSiN the sports betting network.
Want to see who at VSiN is on a hot streak? Go to VSiN.com/picks to see all the selections and weekly leaderboard of VSiN hosts, writers, and guests. Become a VSiN Pro subscriber and get every pick sent to your inbox daily. Just head to VSiN.com/pro.
Responsible sports betting starts with a game plan. That means stick to a budget. Keep it social, learn the game, and know the odds. Play with legal operators, and if you need help, reach out. Visit haveagameplan.org to learn more.
This is Follow the Money on VSiN.
Welcome back. Live in Vegas. Circa Resort and Casino. Owner of this awesome property, Derek Stevens, in studio coming up in 15 minutes. Some numbers, Paulie, that have moved. We'll get to week 2 coming up in a minute. At DraftKings, their awards markets have obviously been on the move since week 1. Josh Allen from 9-1 down to 5-1 after week 1. Lamar, 20 down to 16-1. Do not bet Saquon Barkley. He moved from 150 to 101. You'd much rather have him on Offensive Player of the Year, right? Running backs cannot win the year. They can, but they don't like to look at them.
Quickly, what would he have to do?
25 touchdowns?
Yeah, let's start there. Yeah. 1,500 yards, 20-some touchdowns. I mean, it's
2,000 combined yards to get there. And Tua down from 25 to 16-1.
All right. Thank you, Jonathan Von Tobel. Based on your guide in the summer, your write-up, I took Tua MVP. So definitely.
Well, you have a little bit on him.
I did, yeah. I definitely think there's a path. And that was a good start. And we'll see big game Thursday. Who knows? Maybe this Tyreek Hill thing can galvanize the team and coming together. Campbell, Smith, McDaniel getting choked up at the press conference. But that was sloppy, but still 300 yards. Waddle, Hill, 100 yards each. It's going to put up big numbers.
Yep.
And an easy schedule to start. So that's, I think, only could go down.
Going the other way, Aaron Rodgers moved from 18 to 25-1. I don't think I would take Rodgers at anything less than 100-1. You? I would need a massive number on him.
Yep.
To bet him. Offensive Player of the Year, A.J. Brown from 30 to 22. You're right, that Eagles offense looked, that was humming. Bad defense, doesn't matter. They have weapons all across the board. Here's the big one.
Big play, too. I mean, the big playability, and you saw it Friday.
Yep. Are we going to go back to 2021 with Cooper Kupp? Is that the guy we're getting? He was 60-1. I had no desire to bet him. He just won the award. Puka took over last year as the leading guy, down to 17-1 Offensive Player of the Year.
Wow. I still think Johnson's going to eat. The kid who had 70 yards and had he had 80 yards.
Certainly Stafford can make it work with him.
Yeah. I still think he'll more spreading it around, but then again, it's full marks to McVay for the creativity. I agree with the move on Wilson, and I have some Wilson. They got killed in time of possession. They were hardly on the field, and he had 11 targets in the loss. Wilson's going to have a ridiculous season just because the rapport he has with Rodgers, and Rodgers is so accurate. Yeah. The Lazard thing surprised me, but also, Lazard with the big drop on the first possession on 3rd and short. Who knows what happens there? But I'd still lose, but that's, I'm
going to shop around because I'm on Breece Hall from many, many months ago. I think there's a path. Jets can win 10, 11 games this year. And Rodgers looked like, he looked okay last night. I'm not going to bag on the guy. First game back like that against one of the best teams in football. He'll look good against weak competition.
Yeah, the free play was great.
Yeah, put up good numbers.
Yep.
Defensive Player of the Year, Chris Jones, 35-1 down to 20-1. Fred Warner was awesome last night. I think I bet Fred Warner the last 3 years, Defensive Player of the Year. I don't have him this year. And 2 of the favorites, Micah Parsons moved to plus 450, and T.J. Watt moved to 4-1. I don't like doing this with awards, because anything can happen. Guys can get hurt. I would put down a huge bet on TJ Watt at 4-1 if you told me he was going to play in 15, 16 games this year. I just think he's the absolute nuts when he's healthy. And you saw it again week 1. Dominated the game on Sunday.
Okay.
He was so good.
How surprised were you? He was awesome. And that was a big reason why they won the game. How surprised were you with what Slater and Alt did to Crosby and Wilkins?
Well, that's the deal, right? Raiders have one of the best defensive lines in football. And they were neutralized in a big-time way. I think you have to be at least mildly surprised because Alt, yes, a top 5 pick, but comes in right away, and he was that good in pass coverage, specifically against Crosby.
Yep.
Big sign. And Watt, as a result, moved down. Not Watt, Crosby moved down as a result to 10-1. At DraftKings anyway to win the award.
I thought Hutchinson played well Sunday night.
He did.
But then again, the Rams have all those guys out on the O-line. But he can wreck a game, too. Line moves, week 2. It's well documented. Colts +5 to -3.5, and the under 47 down to 41. Houston from 3.5 up to 6.5. There were 7s out there.
What do you want to do with that game?
I love the Texans. They're gonna move the ball and score, and you got the Bears. Williams now with Dunze banged up, they got to prove it to me.
Here's the thing: you're going to go
I hated the play calling, hated it with Williams
for the Bears. Yeah,
yes,
okay.
for the Bears.
So you wipe away what happened in that second half, the Titans. People are exactly right. The coach, if he said it or not, we were better off punting every single time that we got the ball than what happened in the game. You're going to go from Will Levis to C.J. Stroud.
Yes, yeah.
Okay.
And all those weapons, right. Chargers, 3.5 up to 6.5. The under, 42 down to 39.
That makes sense, does it not? The under?
Yes.
Harbaugh's going to run
Yep.
the daylights out of the football this year, and Bryce Young, other than garbage time, is he going to be good enough to ever put together a decent drive and be in games?
See if the Chargers get pressure on him, too. I agree with this move. The Eagles from 4 up to 6.5.
And me too.
Monday night against the Falcons. Jacksonville from 2 up to 3 against Cleveland. Pittsburgh, Denver under. 40.5 down to 36.5.
Again, makes a lot of sense, right?
Yeah.
Offense,
Yep.
Justin Fields didn't do much offensively at all. It was all the defense. Short drives helped turn points, put them on the board with 6 different field goals in that game. 6 field goals in one game. And they were all like the most yards they had in any drive to set up field goal position was like 40 yards. Come on.
Yep. Seattle, New England under 41 down to 38. Cleveland, Jacksonville under 44.5 down to 41.5. Baltimore Raiders under 43.5 down to 41.5. Tampa, Detroit over 48.5 up to 51.5.
Well, the problems as you mentioned yesterday, the problems in the Buccaneers secondary. Ben Johnson's probably going to get his wish this weekend, right? Where he wanted to throw the ball every single down in the second half against the Rams. He might be able to do that against the Buccaneers. Hence the movement here. Buccaneers look good. Mayfield was awesome.
Yep.
And yet they're catching 7. It's because of the injuries. If Winfield's going to be out, then he's one of the best dudes in the entire league.
That's why that's the unfortunate thing about this Washington game. There are 2 teams I wanted to play against, but the Giants are playing Washington.
Yeah.
So we'll see if the Giants can get well and get anything going on offense, because Washington was pitiful defensively.
Yeah.
So bad.
Well, what if
Mayfield just did whatever he wanted. 4 touchdown passes. And the other thing you mentioned, you're going to say?
I was going to say, this is, again, another good test here, right, for a really bad quarterback. Based on, again, injuries and overall lack of talent on the defensive side of the football, Mayfield carved him up. Going to be a long year for Washington on the defensive side. If Daniel Jones in week 2 can't do something where he looks competent and put it together, scoring drives, some success rate, decent EPA, how do you not cut bait? And Dable doesn't want to. The thought never even entered my mind. Okay.
Yeah, I know, but there was a good rant from a guy on WFAN saying you're running out of bodies to throw under the bus. Martindale was the problem, or now it was this guy, and now it was Barkley, or was this? I mean, it's like, what are you going to do now? I mean, obviously, you're coaching for your job, though. You're just going to go down with the ship. I mean, you're going to have to make a quarterback change, especially if it continues to look like that. Did you see what Dan Quinn said? We don't want Daniels running that much.
I know it.
He had 80 yards and 2 touchdowns.
Well,
so
that's the thing,
that
right?
hurts.
He's also a ton of attempts, so too.
Yeah. He led him in rushing yards.
I get his point. I mean, you don't want that guy to get knocked around immediately to start the season.
But, again, his stats were phony, but again, it was dink and dunk and just dumping it off to Robinson, and he couldn't get to McLaurin. He missed a couple throws, too. So,
well, I think against good teams, that's going to be the same storyline every single week because the defense is going to be so bad, he's going to be playing from behind.
So going back to what you said about Tomlin and Pittsburgh, 50-yard field goals were 20 of 21.
Yeah.
So that's going to lead to just more conservative play calling and just trot him out. Oh, we're good. Shut it down. Here he comes from 54. Bang. Not like Boswell and Aubrey. And I mean, it's ridiculous how these guys were automatic.
So do we think that's going to be good for overs then to begin the season? And I say that because most of these teams have below average or not great quarterback play, right? These teams are just stuck. And as a result, you're going to get in these spots where it's 4th and short from, the field goal is going to be 53 yards. And they're like, I can't trust my guy. But you know who I can trust? It's my kicker from 55 yards out. So instead of putting the offense back out there and turning the ball over on downs because they can't convert the 4th and short, they're going to put 3 points on the board and we're start all over again. And I get it. It's 3 points compared to 7. But these teams that go for it, the play calling's so bad anyway in 4th and short. The quarterbacks are pretty bad. Rather than just doing that and playing that game the whole time, you're getting drives between the 30s, but you're not finishing them off. Maybe this is going to be a good thing for overs. if kickers are truly as good as you think they might be.
Yeah.
Food for thought. I mean, we're going to get regression, right, at some point, where it's not going to be, these aren't going to be automatic.
I don't know. Did you see Tampa? They start the season. They trot McLaughlin out there from 56. No problem. I mean, it's just...
Well, how about...
Aubrey's automatic from... I trust him from 65.
But last night, Moody from...
That's another one.
From way downtown, bang every single time. Doesn't matter he was on the field.
Yeah.
All right, Circa owner, CEO Derek Stevens on the program coming up next. 45 people missed their pick for Circa Survivor. $45,000 lit on fire. He has read the responses and the excuses. Find out what some of them were next.
VSiN's got you covered for the start of the season with our football special. For $175, you'll get access to everything VSiN has to offer. With VSiN Pro, you'll receive daily picks straight to your inbox, detailed analysis on every game, and exclusive data like our betting splits to help you become a sharper bettor. Get all of this for just $175 through the Super Bowl. Or try a monthly subscription and get your first 30 days for only $9.99. Don't miss out on this offer. Sign up now at VSiN.com/subscribe.
Don't wait until fall to start betting the NFL. Get a jump start now with the VSiN NFL Betting Guide and get prepared for this NFL season like never before. The guide has in-depth breakdowns for all 32 teams, best bets from our VSiN experts, playoff predictions, award market previews, and more. The guide is out now, and the only way to get it is to be a VSiN Pro subscriber. Head to VSiN.com/pro to sign up and join the Sports Betting Network.
This is Follow the Money on VSiN.
Welcome in. Follow the Money here on VSiN, the Sports Betting Network. We broadcast every single day in downtown Las Vegas from the Circa Resort and Casino, and the owner and the CEO of this tremendous property, Derek Stevens, joins the program now. Good to see you again today. How are you?
Good to see you guys.
Yeah, a little Circa Survivor discussion here. So 14,000 plus entries in it this year, right? And the big boy, 34+% on the Bengals were selected. What was the biggest surprise to you? Did you expect that number to be higher? Was it the fact that 45 people failed to get in their entries this week in week one? 31 teams were selected. What kind of caught you off guard?
Well, I think one thing that happened, earlier in the week last week, a lot of people thought the Bengals might have been 45, 50%. Even heard some numbers up to potentially 60%. It was the clear-cut big favorite. Maybe that news about Higgins and Chase, that might have saved a lot of people.
I think it did.
Because we ended up with 34% of the pool. Now obviously the game might have been a little bit different if they were playing if Higgins was playing. But at the same point, I think that news made a few people look elsewhere. And I was a little surprised that much on the Saints, that much on the Bucs, that much on the Bills. So I think some of that news might have kept people in it a little bit longer.
How about 31 teams used?
31 teams, that's a record. Now, we had to go back and see. Last year on week one, there were 30 teams selected week one. Oh. I forgot about that. But, yeah, having 31 teams selected. Nobody took the Rams. That's the only team they didn't take. They didn't take the Rams, but 31 teams selected. And then, obviously, towards the bottom of the list, you see the graphic. A lot of people took shots and went out there. I had thought that taking a shot early on was a little too risky. You can't win on week one, but it paid off for many people, including yourself, Mitch, if I'm not mistaken. I thought I saw you say that you took a shot on the Patriots, right?
No, I did not.
Oh, who'd you take the shot with?
I took a shot on Tampa Bay.
Okay.
But also I took a shot on the Giants. So one of those got by, other one did not.
Got it.
So Patriots would have been a good one to have in pocket today, huh?
7 people had the Patriots, yeah.
Do you think that was anybody playing? I'm guessing it was probably all 7 maybe. They had entries on the Bengals. Are like, I'm going to play the opposite here just in case.
It had to be something like that. I personally don't know. I couldn't find one person that had it, so I don't know. I actually went up to, on Sunday over here, we had a handful of champions hanging out on Sunday with us, and L.A. Jones was hanging out with us, and I said, hey, just to make sure you didn't misclick and take the Patriots, did you? And he said, no, not me.
Okay.
So
last year, week one, 31 missed picks. This year, 45. So everyone, I love it that people get upset at Benson, or what can you do for me? And it's totally on you. And then they get mad at the poor employees who do a great job with Circa. So you saw the text and the excuses. Can you share a couple with what you saw with the text about why they couldn't get the pick?
Yeah. First off, I would say everybody's prognostication on what's the over-under was all right about there. I think Jeff Benson was like around 48. You were right about there, if I'm not mistaken. So everybody kind of came in. The good news is that I saw something on X that said, what I forgot should have been minus 200 or something else happened. Did somebody die? Some other tragedy? To my knowledge, still at this point, out of the 45 no picks, I am aware of 23 of them. And all 23 that I'm aware of fall into the I forgot category. I am not aware of anyone that had signed up in June and had passed away. I'm not aware of any bad story.
Nobody went into labor.
All I heard were the stories that fall into the family of I forgot. Now, one of the individuals is a very well-known individual around Circa. He's in here very, very frequently. He signed up during one of our blackjack invitationals, 10, and
he did 10.
Yeah.
And he forgot all 10.
He forgot all 10?
Yeah, he forgot all 10.
Oh.
Yeah. But I will tell you, like, reached out like a couple hours later, like, hey, oh man, I totally forgot. Yeah, I got caught up in a big game and time got away from me. All right, well, no problem. Move on.
Well, so
no problem.
Cool, level-headed?
Yeah, level-headed. He goes, it's all on me. I know the rules. My God.
Sure.
He goes, my God, I know the rules.
Oh, common sense.
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, so yeah, the percentage of people that actually remains that same way then.
What do you mean?
Where they get it. They're like, oh, yeah, totally on me. I can't imagine it's a very high percentage.
I'll give you the good story first. So this is the guy that lost 10. And I said, yeah, I screwed up. I shouldn't have done it. I should have been paying more attention. I should have set my alarm. I set my alarm to set my alarm, but then I forgot to set the other alarm, and I forgot. Oh, well, move on. Next guy, hey, it's my first time playing. I got 10. So do you think because it's my first time, you can waive it? Like, no. This comes in about like 4:02, right? And this text between Jeff Benson and this individual, it went from like 0 to DEFCON 5 in like 3 banters. I mean, I was like, whoa. Okay. I was like, what do you mean? You're telling me you're going to let me torch this right away? I torch this. I should at least get 10,000 of free play. I should at least get this. What you guys are thieves. I'm like, wait a second. What do you mean give you a free play? I mean, all the money goes back to the pool. It's not.
You don't keep it.
It's not our money. It's like, oh yeah, we can start a Twitter poll. How many people think we should because you screwed it up? Zero.
Put that up there. Yeah. Put them on Front Street. Imagine that. Oh, it's your fault, and you blame them, and then you want something in return when you.
In this society that we live in, it's always somebody else's fault.
Yeah.
People have a very difficult time taking accountability.
Yeah, so I felt bad. Jeff sent me some screenshots. I'm like, oh my God, I can't believe it.
Sure,
it's terrible.
What's the craziest excuse you've heard over the years?
Oh, craziest excuse? They're mostly along the lines of I forgot. Like, oh my God, you know what? I'm gonna live it down. I had a great night at the club the night before, and I was just so hungover I couldn't get up. That's the type of stuff. Okay. Like those types of things. You live with it. I mean, you feel bad for the guy, but what are you going to do? You just really root against somebody having a tragedy. That's really the thing I don't want to see. We did have a flat tire on the 15 one time, and the guy's phone ran out of juice. It was a combination of errors. Yeah, that's a tough one. That's a bad beat.
That's rough. That's a couple. Yeah.
So this is so popular and continues to grow, and now you're over 14,000. We talked about this before you came in about if you get to 15, 16, 17, 20, how creative are you getting? Have you had those discussions about how you can do this to try to make sure you only have a couple people that win at the end?
Well, I think the one thing that's happened with Circa Survivor, it's evolved every year. The first year we did it, we had 35 people go undefeated, but that's when we had a 19 game season. Mm-hmm. And then with the added game we went to a 20, and I think it's been pretty good right now. I think it would be kind of cool someday to have a single winner. It would be kind of cool someday to have somebody win by Christmas. Yeah, but so far it hasn't happened. So I mean that's the great thing about this contest. You really never know when it's going to end or how it's going to end. We've had a couple of games in the last couple of years where we could have had a sole winner, but it didn't happen. So you just never know. I think the growth this year, I mean, $9.2 million of entries a year ago, now 14.2. Yeah. The growth rate I'm excited about because it kind of shows, boy, there's a lot of people that really like this, and maybe we can kind of accelerate some of the growth thoughts going forward. So that's pretty good.
Another documentary coming out too?
Yeah, the documentary. I mean, we launched this documentary, a few weeks before the season started. Hopefully, now that the season 1's out there, hopefully Shalansky and Farah have a chance to maybe sell it to Amazon or Netflix or somebody like that. And if that happens, then it'll just make next year's better. I know next year's documentary, the game plan is, maybe 10 episodes. So that's kind of going to the budget.
Percentage of entries on Baltimore this weekend. Bengals had 34+% last week. Ravens going to go over under that this week.
Way over.
Way over 34%?
Way over. Yeah. I think Baltimore. Here's the one thing about week 1. in my opinion, is week 1, no one felt very comfortable. Even with the Bengals, with the biggest point spread, no one felt very, very comfortable. But you look at that Ravens schedule, there might only be one other spot you're thinking about using them. I think the Ravens this week might be a 50 to 60%. I think this is going to be a big one. I think that's going to be a clear cut. What is the active line right now? What do you have right now?
9.5.
9.5, yeah. I think this is a pretty clear cut scenario. I mean, let's also be honest. I mean, the Raiders look absolutely terrible.
Yeah,
they look terrible. Yeah. They're going to Baltimore. Baltimore, opening game. They've got a long rest. They look good.
Yep. Awesome to see you again. Thanks so much for popping in studio. We appreciate that.
In the heart of downtown Las Vegas, a sports oasis awaits. Stadium Swim, the ultimate outdoor amphitheater, built for the ultimate sports fan, with a colossal screen that brings the game closer than ever. Reserve a daybed, private cabana, or lounge in the center of it all. 6 pools to dive into as the game heats up. And the best part, there's never an off-season. Open 365 days a year. Stadium Swim, it's always spectator season.
Looking for the ultimate sports betting podcasts? VSiN has got you covered. With a wide range of podcasts covering every major sport, we're here to help you make smarter bets every season. The Baseball Betting Show with Greg Peterson gives you daily insights into finding value on each day's MLB card. And check out Long Shots, where we deep dive into the world of golf betting, providing you with expert insights to help you bet every tournament. Find all of these podcasts and more at VSiN.com/podcasts or your favorite podcast platform.
This is Follow the Money on VSiN.
Good to have you on board today on a Tuesday. Mitch Moss, Paulie Howard, live downtown Las Vegas, Circa Resort and Casino. Following us, it's VSiN Primetime. Jonathan Von Tobel. Matt Human's on the program for 4 full hours. JVT is with us here. How are you?
I'm doing good, other than this sinus infection that makes me sound like a weirdo. Luckily, I don't talk for a living, so other than that, I feel great.
I couldn't even tell that anything is wrong with you.
Trying to talk with my throat a little bit more, you know what I'm saying? Say it with your chest.
Be a little more throaty, actually.
Yeah. And then I can really sound like a...
Let me throw this at you guys. Bo Nix on Sunday, right? First game of his career. Final stat line, 26 of 42 for $138. No touchdowns, 2 INTs. The average yards per attempt, the average yards per completion were about as low as you're ever going to see by an NFL quarterback. So the EPA per play, the success rate, just not there. Explosive rate, not happening. Can't do that. Can't play like that and win games very often in the NFL. Jake Grossman had a tweet. It's not just Bo Nix. The decline in air yards on passes is a long-term trend. He went back 10 years, 2014, and he looked at week 1. This is air yards per week in week 1 and then on the season. Back in 2014, the average air yards per attempt in week 1 was higher than 8.5. It dropped all the way down to around 6.5 this year, lowest it's been in way more than a decade. And then when you look at the air yards per season, again, very rock bottom, and this is going on now 1.5, 2 yards going back over the last 10 years. Cause for concern? I would say yes.
You think so? I just think it's a style of offense. I mean,
but that's what I'm concerned about. It's first of all, it's not very pleasing to the eyeball.
I hated the play calling the whole week.
The whole weekend. It's high school football we're looking at here.
Well, I mean, I think you're so. I guess so. We all agree on what the symptom is. It's the RPOs and everything like that. You're trying to get the ball out. You're getting your athletes out in space. I mean, I guess I didn't really notice it from a play calling standpoint. There was some pretty bad play calling throughout the week, but I do think it's just, hey, this sport is evolving. Offense has the edge, and how do we get that edge? We get these athletes out in space. We force our quarterbacks to make reads, and we get rid of the ball quick. And I think that's just the way this game's going to go. Unless you're Anthony Richardson, who's throwing the ball like 1,000,000 yards downfield every single time.
That's, and like Flacco last year.
Yep.
Right, when he came in. Jordan Love taking shots. Hurts was taking shots in that game on Friday night. Also, the 5.1 air yards per completion, lowest in any week, going all the way back to 2006. I also think this goes back to how kids are used in college, maybe even a little bit before that, and overall coaching. And maybe you're onto something there where it's like we have guys that are blazing fast, get them open, they can take off with the yak. Overall, like, aesthetics here, what you're watching in all these games, I think Paulie's right. It was not pretty.
Yeah, well, I think what's fascinating is it's oddly juxtaposed with what you see in college basketball, right? So, like, college basketball, with the way they play, it's all plotting, it's slow, you have centers, all that kind of stuff. You can't really play that way. It's really different when you get to the NBA. So college players are forced to evolve. And the other way, it's happened in football, right? Where football's starting to look more college-esque. These guys are in simplistic systems. They are doing that. And the NFL's taking it and going, oh, yeah, like these rules are used for offense. Let's just start to do this more and more. You're seeing guys come from college, right? They're now play callers around the National Football League, Kingsbury being one of them. So maybe this isn't permanent. We see trends all the time. But I don't think it's awful. But I do think you're going to see the pushback, right? You're going to see the Joe Flaccos. You're going to see Anthony Richardson. You're going to see the shots taken because once the league starts to go in one direction, you start to find ways to go against it. Then you're going to have to go another way.
Mm-hmm. Yep. It went for everything, too. I mean, the play with the veterans and rookies. Yep. I was disappointed in what the play callers, how they treated the rookies, and then what the Raiders were doing with Minshew and nothing down the field. And then the perfect timing was, then they asked Aikman about it yesterday on the pregame. And he said, well, there was just a lot of bad quarterback play.
Also very true.
That's true. And then you look at the touchdown passes or lack thereof. Yep. So just to tie it in, it was a bizarre week where it was all about the kickers coming out and banging 50-yard field goals. And there's another one with what the Steelers were running with Fields and how they weren't taking shots.
Oh, lowest week one touchdown passes overall, not even close. I mean, you go back, look at this. 5 years ago, we had 61. Last year was 37. What do we have this year? Was it 35, I think? In 2024? That's down. That's a huge percentage that we're down here.
Yeah.
So we don't think this is a 1 week of just noise going forward?
Matt Humes had a great point yesterday. Yeah. He said that he can't recall this early on week one that bad of quarterback play. Typically, when you get the quarterback play that's like this or it's lousy, it's hey, we're on to week 10 and 9 guys are out because of injuries. Then you get the backups or the third stringers. Then you could expect really awful play. This year, we've had all of training camp. In theory, you're supposed to have a preseason. All these practices, they come out and look like this.
Well, I think that's part of it too, right? Nobody plays in the preseason anymore.
Yeah.
And when they do it, like they're just, it's one drive, you're handing it off 3 times. Maybe it's a 3-step drop and a completion, and then you're out of there when you're done.
Well,
and I think that's probably why you've seen this decline too.
Rodgers is old. Yep. No more Brady. No more Manning. No more Roethlisberger. No more Matt Ryan. No more Breeze. All the great quarterbacks and the gunslingers are gone too.
Is there a chance we're going to look back at that era that you just talked about in 10 years ago and say that was the golden era of quarterbacks? Can't get
the
back
last
there
great
again?
era? Yeah. I mean, probably. Peyton Manning was there.
Or are we? Well, yeah. Or are we old men now talking about this?
I mean, I'm not as raising my pitchfork as you guys are. I think it's fine, but I would also like to see a larger sample size of data. Maybe it's just 1 week. By the time we get to week 4, everything's going to correct itself.
Okay. Do we need a larger sample size of Daniel Jones, Deshaun Watson?
God, no. No.
I mean, some of these guys, they can't play. So based on this, we had this a little bit earlier, brought this up. And now evidently Paulie is screaming that field goals are too easy, 50-yarders. Come on, you got to do something to make it a little bit more difficult. But what if coaches recognize, we just don't have the guy at quarterback. We're not really set here. 4th and 3 now at the 35. Yeah. I'm not going for it. You know who I can rely on? It's my guy off the bench right now who can go out there and hit from 57 yards, no problem. They were automatic in week 1. Will that create more, actually higher scoring games, even though we're getting field goals and not touchdowns? Because now, with maybe poor quarterback play, bad play calling, short yardage stuff, you're not turning the ball over. As a result, not putting any points on the board, then the team gets it deep in their own territory, and they maybe do the same thing.
Yeah, I think that'd be fair, because I think one of the declines in scoring we saw last year was because of analytics, right? You're going for it more on these 4th downs. You're getting turned away. The scoring opportunities aren't going to be there as much.
Sure.
It's something we've brought up before. So I think you could see that. And I do wonder, though, some of these newfangled coaches, for example, go to the Colts-Texans game. Dude, that was a 4th down showdown.
Yeah.
Right? They were going for it every which way but loose. The D'Amico Ryans had a big one. They were up by 2. He goes for it a 4th down. I
was surprised by that.
Yep, and they get it, right? And they get it, and they score a touchdown.
Yep.
Colts, same way. On their penultimate possession or their final possession, they're down by 9. You need 2 scores.
Right.
Nope, we're going for it. A-Rich goes into the end zone.
Yeah.
And those are 2 younger, more forward-thinking coaches and staffs. So I think that one's still out, because I still think that these guys know if we can run our offense well, we're going to be able to win these games and put ourselves in the best position to do it. And look what happened with the Colts. Colts are down 9 late in that game. Unless the Texans don't have an insane completion at the end of that thing to ice the game and don't give the Colts a chance, they might get the ball back with a chance to win the game.
Yeah. Overreaction here to week 2. You follow all the line moves. What kind of caught your eye as maybe too big of an adjustment?
So it's one that you and I were talking about on Sunday, which is that Colts-Packers game. I think 8 is a lot to swing that, right? From to 5 one way to 3.5 the other. We also have to realize, too, and this is why I'm going to be, I bet the game over 41. You and I talked about the Colts games being over, right, Mitch, and how that's an angle. The Colts just announced that they lost Juju Brents with a knee injury. They only carried 5 corners on their roster. One of their other corners actually was a scratch on week 1. So they're going out of the building already to get cornerback depth. The position's a nightmare. I don't care if it's Malik Willis. I think you're going to give up a lot of points. We saw that. They give up a ton of explosive plays. They're going to be bad defensively. But I also believe that Anthony Richardson and this Colts team is going to be pretty explosive on offense.
Oh, yeah.
Right? We saw that on Sunday, and I went back and rewatched the game. There's a lot there. So bet that game over, and maybe looking at the Packers, I think, is really solid. And the other one that I'll say really quickly is I'm surprised that the market is just comfortably sitting at 7 with Detroit. They got the win and the cover in overtime. I understand that. But I don't think you're going to be able to push around that defensive front like you did to L.A., especially at the end of that game. And I thought Matthew Stafford showed a lot of us on Sunday night that we still have questions about how effective the changes in that secondary are for the Detroit Lions. And I think that Baker Mayfield in this offense is showed that they're still good enough, even without Canales, who's off in Carolina, that they could be effective and test some really bad secondaries.
Have you had the discussions with your kids about gambling bad and don't do this?
No, not really. Because they're not old enough. My other kid's 2.5, so he's barely speaking senses.
Okay. Did you see what happened to Kevin Wildes, Fox Sports?
No.
To prove a point, he goes, don't bet, see how hard it is, NFL, and he put in a 10-cent 14-teamer and it hit.
That's awesome.
I hate losing money. I didn't want to even do $1, so I did a dime and it hit. I think I paid $230 or whatever. He had a 14-teamer. You believe it?
It's awesome.
What do you got coming up, champ?
What do we got? We got a lot of baseball. Obviously, it's a big baseball day, so we got a lot that is getting started later tonight. We got some great guests with us, including Brian Edwards, talk a little SEC football, and we'll talk about all the biggest line moves in college football over the last couple of days as well.
I got to say this before the show's done. I think Paul Skeens is live still.
He should
great
be.
Start.
He should be. What are we talking about? We think.
Come on.
He's been the best pitcher in baseball since he got called up and he started the All-Star game.
Yes.
There's no I think.
Well, people wrote him off.
Oh, they shouldn't. It's
people
ridiculous.
were writing him off. I think that's what a amazing couple of turns that market has taken, huh?
What a great comeback story it'll be.
Have a great show.
Coming up Wednesday on Follow the Money, where we have a lot of day baseball to go over. VP of Circa Mike Palm in studio, and also Sal Palantoni, who called an easy Bucks win. Follow the Money weekdays 4 to 7 Eastern on VSiN, the Sports Betting Network.
Responsible sports betting starts with a game plan. That means stick to a budget. Keep it social, learn the game, and know the odds. Play with legal operators, and if you need help, reach out. Visit haveagameplan.org to learn more.
A new football season means a new lineup on VSiN. Start your day with sharp betting analysis on the VSiN Morning Line at 7 a.m. Eastern. Follow it up with a numbers game at 10, money moves at noon, and prop points from 2 to 3 p.m. Get pregame strategies with Make It Rain at 3 p.m. Follow the money at 4 and at 8. Join us for the day's biggest games on VSiN Primetime. Wrap up your night with cashing out at 11. Check out the full lineup on VSiN.com and join us on the Sports Betting Network.
This is VSiN, the Sports Betting Network.